What's going on? Thanks for checking out my next how to draw video. If you want to see more content like this, don't forget to leave a like below and also subscribe if you haven't. And for this video, I'm going to be drawing the arm muscles again from different angles, and I'll be using Figurosity for the poses. And then also, if you want to check out Figurosity, there's links down below for that also. Now this time with drawing arms, I'm doing different angles, and I'm going to be detailing it also, drawing in the shadows and showing how I place the shadows in when I'm doing like my heavy blacks and things. So right now I'm just doing the general shapes for making an arm. I'm trying to follow along with what's going on in the picture, making sure I get the angles right, the shapes right, using the cylinders and circles and the triangles also. And usually for the knuckles, I know sometimes a lot of times people have a hard time making the knuckles. It's usually just I just make a circle and then go down from the circle. Each circle is kind of like you're making like a little triangle, even though when you're actually filling it out and the skin, triangle isn't shown, but inside the muscles, those muscles form kind of like a triangle shape going in, and all the different veins and musculatures. And right now I'm just detailing it, making my usual outline. I don't try to use, sometimes I don't try to go too dark with outlines. I kind of use like a kind of a thick to thin method, thicker where there's more shadow and lighter where more light's hitting it. Now I'm going in with the blacks. Now when I'm going in with the black, and sometimes you'll see like in the back, I'm not adding the shadow on that the back line, only because the light is, sometimes you make the light source maybe coming from two different angles, and usually and sometimes more or less in the comic books you'll usually see it inked that way, where they don't usually go all the way to the back line because they kind of want to define it, keep the shape a little defined more. But there's also tricks to that, and there's also it's like pros and cons to it, because you can also mess up doing it that way also, depending on how you're inking it. So right now I'm doing my cross hatching. Now for this, when I started doing the cross hatching lines, so like the thick to thin, to kind of have the light source coming into the arm. And for that, I guess I was using a brush pen, and I was using a brush pen on a certain type of paper, and the paper was kind of rough, so it kind of, I guess I'll say, damaged the brush and the pen, so I can't get that fine tip with it. But then it made these rigid 3-line brush strokes with it for some reason. So now I use it as kind of like my brush for using the cross hatching. So sometimes you may mess up your stuff, but it may be, you may get good results with it, and you may just use the tool for something else. So sometimes mistakes actually help out. So right now I am working the other muscle. Now this is kind of a different angle, and I like to kind of choose difficult angles. And the more difficult the angles are for the poses you're practicing with, the faster it is for you to learn how to draw whatever it is you're drawing. And so for this one, like his arm is kind of leaned back, and it's leaned back, and it's kind of twisting almost as it's leaning back. So you have to kind of show it lean back, and you have to also show that twist in the arm also, well, mainly in the wrist. Right now I'm adding in those heavy blacks. Get that main shade in. I usually go in with the heavy blacks first to define all the shapes, find out where I'm going to add the cross hatching, and then later on I'll add the cross hatching over top of the heavy blacks. Or sometimes you may be able to, I know some artists will do the cross hatching first, then add the heavy blacks. It all depends on your preference. There's no right or wrong when you're drawing pictures. You just draw to have fun and create your own style and learn from others. That's the way, kind of the way to go. And for a lot of these, I didn't plan on drawing the hands with the arm. I just wanted to focus on just the arms itself, but figure why not? I might as well just add the whole thing. I don't think I added hands to all of them, but just to get a general idea for you to see how to put together the muscles on the arms. As you see how I'm doing it, where I'm making the circle, the cylinder, so circle for the shoulder, circle for the elbows, and squares, sometimes triangle for the hands. And after that, you kind of just overlapping shapes. And when you're overlapping the shapes, you're kind of you're making, I'll say, it'd be easier to just make a bunch of ovals. Just make a oval for biceps, oval for the triceps, and just start slapping ovals on top of the cylinder, and then start retracing over the cylinder, over the ovals, and you're basically forming the muscle right there. And of course, when you're doing the figure professionally, or depending on what particular character you're making, or whether it's a monster or a character or a person, you just adjust accordingly. Because of course, when you're drawing an actual person, depending on what you're drawing, every single muscle isn't going to show up like how it is in the picture right here, where there's no skin, so you literally see everything. Of course, unless you're drawing characters from the Baki series, and even like the comic book characters, like the Marvel characters and stuff like that, or DC characters, where the muscles are showing through their costumes. Which, when you're wearing spandex, your muscles aren't really showing through like that, unless you're wearing that padding like you see in the movies. I'm adding in all the different striations in the muscles, trying to get everything in there. This one, he's kind of like in the attack mode pose. So same thing, circle, cylinder, circle for the elbow, and then you make the next cylinder, the cylinder going into perspective, then the square shape or triangle shape, depending on how you want to do it, for the hand. And then you just start adding cylinders for the fingers. Usually like three cylinders per finger, unless you're doing a thumb. I know the thumb is usually is 3, but because the thumb is so thick, I usually just do 2, since the thumb is the shortest anyway. I'm just going in and I'm adding in those little curvatures or ovals, if you want, to define the rest of the muscles in the arm. I'm just going in. I was going to choose to use pencil for this, but then I decided the blue pencil is still the best method. You know, sometimes the blue pencil is hard to see, but it's easier as far as seeing the inks through the pencil. That's when I have to do it with regular pencil, and I'm just erasing it, then have to add the inks, and it's less of a hassle to just use the blue pencil and go in with the inks. Adding in my blacks. Now you don't have to always add that much black to the muscles when you're creating it, but for me, I like this style, which is why I like using the blacks the way I'm using it here. But everyone have their own style for using blacks and cross-hatching and things like that. Adding in the cross-hatching. Well, not really cross-hatching, only because I'm not adding the line going through it, but just the little line strokes. Thick to thin line strokes to add that depth for light to dark. I say the more you practice, the more you can get better or faster at doing it. That's why you can always just spend, like I mentioned before, just spend a week to a month on a particular body part. The best way to learn muscles when you're drawing a body is to just don't focus on drawing the full body figure first. If you're learning, focus on drawing the specific parts first. Like you're drawing, just draw the arm 1 week so you can understand how the arm works. Draw the legs 1 week to understand how the leg works, and just work your way up from each body part. Then you can start doing the full body. If you're doing the full body and don't know how each body part is put together, then it'll be more difficult to do it that way. You have to learn it, do it the hard way, learn it the hard way, and then eventually you just know it, because your brain is memorizing how to put everything together. And then start doing perspective and the crazy angles and twists and things like that. And for this since this arm was going kind of back in perspective, that's why I had everything kind of just is big, circles big up front with the shoulder, and then it's kind of gets smaller as it's going out. Now I'm adding in the heavy blacks to find the shape a little bit more. Then I'm start adding in the thick to thin lines for the shading. Alright, that's it for this video. If you like this video, want to see more videos like this, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't. Alright, take care.